Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watch One, and thanks for logging on. Today we're looking at the Panerai Radiomir GMT alarm PAM 238, one of 200 made. You can see this rose gold Radiomir dual time alarm on our website, watchyouwant.com. Purchase it there if you like, and if you enjoy these videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Watch You Want Inc. You can also click on the card in the upper right hand corner of the screen at any time to see our full listing for this watch with additional high resolution images, accessories included, and naturally complete pricing details. Now on my wrist, 6 1/3 inches, 16 centimeters in circumference, this is decidedly a more genteel Panerai. Clearly not a combat dive watch, nor one intending to be. There's an honesty in the richness and luxury of this watch that's a little bit disarming and really endears the watch to connoisseurs of fine complications, making it something of the anti-Panerai, essentially the watch for the guy who never thought he would buy a Panerai. And part of the reason for that is that it's not huge. Now my wrist is 16 centimeters in circumference, and you can see that the watch fits it nicely. 42 millimeters across the case. It's also approximately 42 from edge to edge. If we do measure the elegant wire lugs, that becomes 46.5 millimeters, but at no point does the watch feel oversized in the fashion that Panerai made famous. Now it's only 14.5 millimeters thick, and you can see that with a nicely sloped bezel and case flank, it's actually pretty easy to slide this watch under a tight sleeve or dress cuff, but it really comes into its own with a smart sport jacket or a blazer. Now the watch does have good heft on it. The case, although not overly thick, is broad, and it has a lot of precious metal content, so you don't forget you're wearing a gold watch. The watch looks exceptional, and it feels the same way on the wrist. Now it's paired with a beautiful, high gloss, almost burgundy, rectangular scale monotone stitch alligator leather, and you can see that it's gently bolstered but not overly bolstered. There's no sense of mass or ungainly size to this strap. This is about as far from something like the Assolutamente as you can get, that being the virtually untreated calf skin that Panerai made legendary, and this watch is of an entirely different sensibility. You can see the wire lug style, almost filigree pin buckle, beautifully rendered in 18 karat rose gold. Now this one of 200 limited edition, it is a I series, so 2007, is a very special watch because it's one of 3 Panerai Radiomir alarm watches made. The PAM 46, the PAM 98, and of course this 238. It's built with a Girard Perregaux movement based on an old Adolf Schild caliber from the 70s. We'll get into that in a moment. But first, let's talk about the functionality, the legibility that is true to the Panerai tradition, and the aesthetic that sets this watch apart. The first thing you can see is that the dial is deeply dished. By that I mean the Rayhaut, which acts as a separate 12-hour scale, acts as a transition visually from the bezel, which is quite tall, down to the base of the matte black dial. Now you can see that there's a little bit of a railroad track minute and second scale outboard for precise reading of the time, but the watch also has a matte dial base and what's known as a sausage dial, or a printed index Panerai dial. This isn't the famed sandwich. It's actually quite a bit more legible in low or no light. The sandwich may be a little bit more traditional, but for pure practicality, the sausage dial does come up on top. It is just a little bit more legible, a little bit more brilliant. As a pure utility piece, this watch is actually surprisingly suitable despite its dress orientation. Now you'll also notice that the watch has a GMT scale at 6 o'clock. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to move the minute hand out of the way, and what I'm going to highlight is that the local time at center and the 24-hour GMT window are actually completely out of phase by 12 hours. What you're looking at on the local time is a time past 12 approaching, or rather past 4 approaching 4:40, and what you're looking at center is actually 4 p.m. versus 4 a.m. So you can use the GMT scale for a separate time zone, or you can synchronize with center, make sure you get the date in there, and you can use it as an AM/PM indicator for the local time. Now the watch does have a quick set function, so you can rapidly cycle the GMT and you can rapidly cycle the date, and that's done through the crown at 2 o'clock. Now the watch does have a hacking function, so when you pull the crown out, not that one, this one, you stop the balance and you allow precise synchronization to a known accurate reference time. All of the time setting, including the date, is done through this crown. All alarm functions, and you can see the alarm time indicated by that arrow hand, are actuated through this crown at 4 o'clock, including winding. Now when you turn the caliber over, You can see it well. 31 joules. It is a Girard-Perregaux modification on an old A Schild caliber. Schild was one of the great and most prolific watch movement manufacturers from the 20s through the 1970s, and this movement is a tried and true workhorse. It's actually well suited to the characteristics of Panerai generally, but because this is a special watch with a dress orientation, it befits it that this watch has just a little bit more power reserve, 47 versus the industry typical 42. It does hack, it does have a second time zone, it does automatically wind, it does have an alarm function, and it is quite nicely made with a tight and even perlage across the base plate and blued screws, as well as generally superior finishing across all the individual components. This one is both made and finished by Girard-Perregaux, so the finishing standards and customs are a little bit different than Panerai norms. Now, the watch is a 30-meter water-resistant dress watch, so don't mistake this one for a deep diver. Keep it out of the water. This one is splash or rain only. But with a watch this handsome and quite frankly, suited to a caliber of company where you wouldn't want a conventional, oversized steel Panerai Radiomir or Luminor, it's unlikely you're going to be taking the plunge with this one. After all, you have a submersible for that. See this remarkable 1 of 200 rose gold Panerai Radiomir GMT alarm, 1 of 200 made in 2007 on our website, watchyouwant.com.